Hi, my name's Jim Keane. I'm an Assistive Technology Specialist with Disability Services at the University of Hull. This video tutorial will look at a piece of software called Inspiration and its basic use. We may be happy with the background colour, however we're still presented with a big, green, squashed spider. So to help us understand our diagram better, I can use something called the rubber band tool. Now I'm just holding down the left mouse button and covering the symbols. Note how when I go over 50% of a symbol, it gets highlighted as well. And I highlight all of those symbols as a group. Okay, I've expanded the screen a bit now so we can see the other toolbars. So we've got our diagram in the middle of the screen, and if I move down to the bottom of the screen we can see the lower toolbar. Now here we've got a number of tools for changing what our diagram looks like, or what elements of our diagram looks like. We can also use these tools here to zoom out or zoom in. We can use these tools here to change typeface settings and colours, and we can use these here to change the colours of our symbols. Now, as I did before, I'll select all of those symbols I want to change together. So I've selected all of the symbols under ingredients. Now I'm going to change the colours of ingredients to pink. Now if I show you the whole of the diagram, it should be obvious to see that whilst I can still see the whole diagram in one go, ingredients immediately stand out as a separate element. And in the same way, if I select all of the items under process, and here I'm using the same tool, it's just called the rubber band tool, to select things. So you just click in the middle of nowhere and drag over the things that you want to select, and as you go over halfway it'll select them all. Back down to here, and I think for process I'll have red symbols. Now if you look at here, it's now becoming a little difficult to read the text against the background. So I'll go back down to that toolbar and change the type colour to white. So again, a bit more readable. And I'll do the same thing for utensils. Don't worry if you miss something, just go back and grab it again. And I think we'll have that as a nice sky blue. So hopefully you can now see that whilst you can see the interaction of all of the diagram, you can also see the individual elements separately. Now this is useful for two reasons. Firstly, we've organised our information and it's easier to understand it, and it can appear correctly in the outline view. But also the use of colour allows us to concentrate on individual elements of it. So we've already broken our task down into two sections. The first section was where we wrote down everything that we knew about it. The second section is giving it structure and order. Now normally when you're writing in Word, you have to do all of these tasks at the same time, and typically we don't do them very well. I mentioned before that there are a couple of benefits to working in this way. Another benefit is, as soon as you insert subheadings, it becomes obvious that some things are missing. For example, in utensils, kettle and mug are not the only ones that I need. I also need spoon and teapot. So let's add them in. Now I click on utensils as I did main idea earlier, and I can either use the create tool, but I'm actually going to use the rapid fire tool again and just put down ideas that come to me from my new subheading. So I've got my new symbols for teapot and spoon, but annoyingly they don't match the rest of the utensils. Now I could simply accept that, or I could manually change the colours for each of them, but I'd like to get it absolutely right and I'd like to do so easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the formatting from utensils to the other two shapes. So I'm going to click on utensils and then scroll down to the bottom of the screen where I have my two T's on my bottom toolbar. Now if I click on there, I get the option to set the default or apply the default. If I select apply the default, it will change the currently selected shape so it appears like that. So, like we've seen, the default for new symbols is currently a green oval with black text. But instead I'm going to set the default. Now what that will mean is all new shapes will appear as blue ovals with black text. Now I can just select spoon, but if I hold down the shift key I can also select teapot, but only those two are selected. So I'll do that again. Hold down shift, click spoon, keep holding down shift, click teapot. Click on the two T's and select apply default. And now when we go back up, we can see everything matches. We could also do this the other way around. I know that something else needs to live under processes. So I click process, click the two T's, click set default again, and now when I go back up to processes and use rapid fire again, hopefully my new symbol will match. And there we can see my new symbol for boil has appeared and is correct. While separating out by colour is quite useful, we can also separate out by shape. So again we'll use the rubber band tool and change all of our symbols to the same shape. Changing the shape, we just use the symbol palette. Whilst it's useful to aid our understanding to use basic shapes to indicate grouping, we can also reinforce our understanding by replacing the symbols with a symbol that represents it. So if I take teapot here and go over to the symbol palette, we'll notice that there's various different libraries built into it. So if I click on the library drop down, I can pick all sorts of options from here. Now because I'm a bit lazy and prefer not to waste my time, I can click in the search box at the bottom. If I type in teapot here and press the return key, the same one we used earlier, it will go away and search for any symbols relating to teapot. After a while, it brings back several results. Pick one that you're happy with. I'm going to select this one. Notice how it replaces the standard teapot symbol, which was the round shape, with the one which actually is a teapot. Now that's great, but it doesn't look much like my other symbols within the utensils group. If we move back down to the colour palette here, we can notice that it now has different colours that correspond to the colours for the teapot. And I can change these colours to be more in keeping with the colours of my group, like so. Whilst the built-in symbols within Inspiration and those available through the web lookup are great, you can often find that you can't quite find the right image. In that case, we'd recommend using Google Image Search to find a suitable image to represent the symbol. Open a web browser and go to www.google.com www.google.co.uk. Instead of using the normal web search to bring up a web article, we're going to make Google search for images for us. So we click the images link. Into the search box, we type what we're looking for. And here, several individual images relating to our search term appear. I like the first one, and I want to use that in my mind map. Now all I simply do here is right click, select copy, go back to inspiration, go to the symbol I want to replace, right click and select paste. Just like a normal symbol, I can use the little boxes on the corner to change its shape. It's fine to use images sourced from Google Image Search in your own personal work for your own personal reference. However, if you intend to submit this work, or if you intend to use your information publicly, you must get the permission of the image's owner to use it. Once we've finished completing the main structure of our mind map, we may think that that's it, that we've got a framework from which we can write our essay, and we could leave it there, but Inspiration has a few more tricks up its sleeve. Firstly, we can start now entering some real body text in about individual elements. So for example, let's click on tea bags. Now I could just simply leave it as it is, but I actually want to put a bit of detail in here. I'm going to add a note, and we do that from our main toolbar. The note system is where we'd really add the main body of our text. So let's say we wanted to add a couple of paragraphs about the history of tea bags or the particular tea bags that we liked. We'd do it here. Notes windows simply appear on top of our main Inspiration document, and we can type as much text as we like into them. We could simply leave the note on top of our diagram, but I think that's a bit messy. I like to click the close gadget here. Note how note disappears. However, if I click on tea bags, we can see by the little symbol here that the note is still attached. I can make it reappear simply by clicking the quick controls gadget, and disappear by clicking the close gadget again. Okay, we might think, so what about that? Well, if we go back to our outline view over here, notice how under tea bags in our outline view we have I like Assam tea.